Hello, everybody. I'm Dean Takahashi, editorial director at GamesBeat. Happy to do another GB Live here with Chris Hewish, president of Xsolla. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Dean. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Mm-hmm. So we're here at the GDC Festival of Gaming, and it's a fresh new event, I guess. And we've also got some big news that has dropped recently on the Google and Epic settlement and new policies coming out of Google here. And I wonder what you think all that means.
Yeah, it is an exciting time and big news coming with Google Play changing up quite a bit how they're allowing you to operate your game business right through the Play Store as a result of that Epic Google sort of agreement or ruling and then the subsequent agreement. So the long and short of it is I think it's a win for developers because it is yet another step in the right direction for developers being able to take control of their business on a platform. And the changes mean that you can now use your own payment systems in-app when you're on Android and Google. You can still use Google Play billing, but you can switch over to your own alternative or other structure. You can do different app stores on the Google Play Store now. And in addition, Google Play has also just reduced their fees. And, you know, there's still some conversation around exactly what does all of that mean at the end of the day from specific fee levels and all of that. But again, the big win is it's just more optionality for developers and more control over their business.
Yeah, and I think Tim Sweeney had also said that the settlement applies worldwide as well. And so the litigation could have continued for 5 more years around the globe in every court in every country, I guess. But now with this settlement, they at least get to a resolution much faster.
They do, and they said it would start to roll out in the U.S. first in around June of this year, 2026, but it may not filter to the rest of the world until sometime in 2027.
Yeah. So yeah, very interesting, I guess. And you guys are ready with some new updates and changes as well here. You have the Xsolla SDK one integration for every platform that you've announced.
We do. So we've been working really hard preparing for this kind of opportunity. We have an SDK now that brings everything together into one integration, cross-platform. So now you can take the Xsolla SDK, and we've released it for Unity, for Unreal, for Cocos, and you can use that SDK to get everything that you need, all the things that you need, your payments, your web shop integration, OfferWall, which is our MarTech offering, and many, many more things all in one place and working cross-platform. So now, you know, this SDK allows you to really work with us regardless of where your game is.
So you have some history with web shops now. I wonder how that's been doing, but also what's maybe the added opportunity that comes with the Google resolution.
So web shops have been an amazing business for us. We were the leader in launching web shops several years ago, and it has quickly become a major part of the business and a big impact on the industry. And it's allowed many companies now to really diversify their revenue streams, blend their margin rates, going through the app stores, but also going direct to consumer. And I think, you know, the impact that this ruling or this agreement with Google and Epic will have is that it allows developers to more freely integrate web shops into their games. And I think it will really open up more awareness amongst gamers that these web shops exist, because it's clear how developers can do this in a compliant way on Google. And that just really creates more options for developers and players to be able to connect and take advantage of that direct relationship.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting that I guess Google's fees have come down, but they're still somewhat higher than a lot of the other web shop opportunities out there. But the introduction of competition maybe could put more pressure on fees to bring them down even lower, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, open markets are always good, right, at the end of the day for the consumer. So having more competition on that front is great. And, you know, we have been a leader in having low fees for quite a while at 5%, which is fantastic. But really, it's good for the users at the end of the day. And Fees, though, are just part of the conversation. And what I'm really curious about with this, development with Google is how does it apply to the data side of things, right? And to being able to have that relationship with players, because those are the other two parts of going direct to consumer, right? Part of it is lower fees, better margins, better value proposition, but it's also the ability to build a direct relationship and communicate with your players, understand them more, and get real intelligence about them based off of having full access to all of their data, not just their gameplay data, but their commerce data. So to me, that's still an open question. You're going through a platform, you're still giving up some of that insight, even though you may have direct payments and things like that. So that, I think, is something that we'll have to watch and see.
So it's very exciting thing to happen in 2026. And I think, with Matthew Ball's big slide deck recently, I think we saw that there's a whole lot of challenges for game companies out there still. And yet there's also these opportunities. And one that he pointed out, I think one that you guys are going after, is really territorial expansion and entry into new countries, some of the emerging markets of the world. So what do you guys have going there?
Yeah, absolutely. So growth is happening all over the world, even though in the mature markets in the West, maybe it's around 5 or 6% projected this year. In a lot of emerging markets like the Middle East and Southeast Asia, you're seeing 13% or higher growth, which is fantastic. So the growth is still happening, and we're out there to support our partners. So we've launched a number of new payment options. Big announcement. We've done an acquisition in Vietnam that allows us to function in that market and allows our partners to be able to transact and do their games in a compliant way. It's a difficult market to get into, but we've solved that. We also have a great partnership in Azerbaijan, and so we can really help our partners there when it comes to looking to set up studios. So there's this growth happening all over the place, and we've added 18 new payment methods from around the world to really keep opening things up.
And I guess how far is that reach now, as far as the different kinds of payment options and countries? I guess.
Yeah, so we have hundreds and hundreds of different payment options in there. We have incredible reach. It's one of the things, again, that a lot of developers miss when they're publishing their games and they're going through a platform. They take just the payment options that are available to them, and the fact is the platforms really have a very limited number of options. And when you look around the world, especially out of tier 1 territories like the US or Europe, you have countries where 40 to 60% of your players are using local alternative payment methods. They're not using the big 3 credit cards or PayPal. And if you aren't providing those options to them, they literally can't spend on your game, right? So there's money being left on the table, especially in emerging markets, by not going to the alternative payment options, not providing those. So that's a big part of what we do. We operate in over 200 different territories now, pretty much everywhere except for the few countries that we're legally not allowed to work in.
Yeah. So there's a lot of competition in this space, and I guess you would probably rather be the Walmart than the smallest mom and pop shop. Like how do you try to stand out in that way, I guess?
Yeah, so for sure. I mean, competition comes with the territory, right? Especially when you're a leader in the space. So we stand out by really expanding our offerings. And, as we like to say, we are out here to provide all the things that a game company would need to launch and scale and grow their business. And that's more than just payments. So that's why we are offering things now like Offer Wall, which is a great retention mechanic. If everyone remembers offer walls from the early days of mobile, they were incredibly successful until the app stores shut them down effectively. So we've built that. We now have an offer wall product that is integrated into web shops and into Buy Button. We have loyalty as a service program. We have other things that are more on the MarTech side. So expanding our offerings, direct distribution capabilities. We have many, many things, all the things.
Yeah.
As opposed to just one payments, right?
I think offer walls are going to be interesting as some of the stores get more and more local too, and they focus on local deals, right? And I think those are the ones that a lot of people just repeatedly go to, right? And you're always going to your favorite fast food restaurant or something like that, and so the offers that could be attached to games, I think, could be very interesting.
You are 100% right, and that actually ties nicely back to that concept of getting a full picture of all the data around your players. If you know what local payment methods they're using in a territory, right? Which ones are performing better in your game? You could go to those payment providers and do some sort of offer wall engagement with them in that region, in that locality. That is something that you simply can't do when you are just going on a platform, but going direct opens that ability, in addition to, like you said, local retailers, local brands, all of that. So it's a huge opportunity for developers, and we're excited to provide that.
Yeah, nice. And I think you guys are going to also stand out with the Xsolla agency. Do you want to tell us what that's going to be about?
Yeah, so Xsolla agency is very exciting. For many, many years, for decades, the games industry has had a real close relationship with IP and licensing different things from Hollywood or other brands. And it's been a difficult road for a lot of developers. There are some folks out there that help and do it really well, but it really hasn't been an accessible option for many developers. And we are in an age now where, IP integrations, not just making a game based on an IP, but integrating IP into your game, whether it's a skin or a promotion. Apex is doing the big Gundam promotion coming up, which is going to be awesome. But we created Xsolla Agency to be able to help developers of all sizes access IP to help them with their games, with growing their games, making games, retaining players, all of that. So Xsolla Agency is really a IP licensing arm for the company. It handles all the complexities of deal making and getting the right IP and building the relationships with the different, whether it's Hollywood or film or whatever, all around the world, by the way, not just in one, not just in Hollywood, but there's great IP globally, which has been another inaccessible, opportunity for developers. So we're kind of making it accessible. So yeah, just what you would think with an agency where we have IP agents that'll help our partners get the right properties to help them with their games.
And some of these agents, I think in the past, they've just focused only on like one platform too. And so I take it you guys are going to take these IPs to many platforms.
Absolutely. We always meet our partners wherever they are. It's not just mobile and PC and browser and console now, but it's even, subdivided within that. Is it a standalone game? Is it a open world environment? Is it a social gaming platform? Whatever it may be. So games within games, but we can help our partners with all of that.
So we're here at GDC Festival of Gaming, and everybody sort of wants to sort of understand how 2026 might go. What's your own sort of feeling about how this year could unfold?
Yeah, so I'm fairly optimistic, just in general, and I think the industry is on a good path. We've had a tough few years when it comes to, in particular, obviously the employment situation, but the industry has continued to grow, and I see that continuing. I think we have been moving in the direction of an industry that is much more nuanced when it comes to the business of how it operates. And what I mean by that is starting to really embrace that direct-to-consumer relationship. More and more companies are doing that now, not as a replacement, for platforms, but really as a way to evolve, the business. So, I'll speak of it from the business side of things, where I really see the industry is maturing in how it approaches operating businesses. And it's not just direct to consumer, but it's those player relationships. It's the intelligence that you get from those relationships and how you can really start to evolve what you do and build more trust with your players, provide better value to them on a global level, right?
Yeah. I've seen some sort of doom and gloom comments about how tough it's going to be for games to grow in the future with things like the attention war happening, right? And that things like TikTok or even gambling, sports betting are growing so fast that they may steal time away from gamers, right? What's your own feeling about how gaming will fare through that?
Yeah, I could make the snap comment of like gaming will be fine, right? The reality is gaming's had a long history of being able to adapt, and as new platforms come online, it's really stacked to be able to grow. I do think it's interesting framing it as an attention kind of war of where are people spending their attention. I think developers are going to have to start developing, it's redundant, but making games in a way that acknowledges that. So, what does that mean? It's not the second screen kind of approach, but, we see games becoming much more social and, obviously things like Roblox, is a big steal of share for other games, and kids get in there and even adults get in there more as a social environment even than a gameplay environment. So what I'm getting at is I wonder with things like TikTok, right, and other platforms, will they truly steal share, or will game developers evolve content to be able to meet the users on those platforms, right? And now have some sort of hybrid experience that is unique to the platform, but is still a game at the end of the day, or qualifies as something that's a game, and then becomes another stack on top of, PC, console, browser, mobile, right? Which have all come along and expanded the industry over the years, even though initially they were maybe thought as something that would steal from the previous, platform. But the reality is they just expand the market.
Yeah, I think that gaming has a lot going for it as well. Roblox is actually catching a lot of those kids when they're young, before any of the more like addiction-oriented industries, reach them. And so I guess it's embedding gaming into them as a habit from the earliest age now. And I think that carries on into adulthood. I think also that gaming's share of the content on top of things like YouTube and TikTok and even movies and TV now is growing. And so that means that gaming is poised to win the culture war, I think, of the global culture war. And I think that is what it has going for it. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think gaming definitely, you mentioned winning the global culture war. That's something that, as we've talked before, even just about how governments are now looking at games, recognizing that games can be a great vehicle for cultural export, right? Even, or promoting, local, culturally relevant IP on a global stage. And I think games will do, just fine, right, with all of this. But what I think, what I paused and was kind of trying to refresh and think back to, there does come a point where growth obviously plateaus, right, and becomes much more limited. There's only so many people out there in the world that can, and eventually you're going to hit, maximum sort of saturation of everybody who wants to play a game. And we're kind of already seeing a shift around that, which is shifting more to retention of your players, right? And I've had some conversations already this week where companies are like, okay, we're still seeing growth, but we're now much more focused on retention, right? And I think that's kind of, when we say what's going on in 2026 or even the next few years in games, I think that's going to be much more of a prevalent kind of battlefield area, right, for how companies are treating their game businesses. It's not just about acquiring the users, but it's about retaining them better, bringing back lapsed players even, right, and all of that.
Yeah, and I do think that, if governments of the world are going to be happy, it's that if games are really leaning more into fun than the addiction side of things.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Any closing thoughts?
No, I think, it's great to be here again this year, and I appreciate the opportunity to chat as always.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.